The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Good evening, one and all. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. And we're heard around the world on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, xzbn.net, and the IPBN Radio Network. Now, if you'd like to send us a message, X-Zone at xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV, and our radio website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. Today is Friday, July the 22nd in the year 2016. X-Zone Nation, we have a jam-packed show for you tonight. My first guest, Dr. Kimberly McGeorge. We're going to be talking about the secret to everything. Hour number 2, Cody Alexander, shamanism. And hour number 3, Mark McCandlish. We're going to be talking to Mark about, is there a secret space program? All this tonight here in the X-Zone. Now, my guest, the first guest this hour, as I said, is Dr. Kimberly McGeorge. She has practiced alternative and naturopathic medicine for over 25 years. She began as a herbalist and wrote an herbal columnist. She was an herbal columnist for an international magazine, Open Arms. She created and distributed her own line of herbal organic products through an international mail order company. She also maintained multiple clinical practices in Columbus, Ohio, before she began teaching all over the country. In 2010, she began the Secret to Everything radio podcast, and the brand was born. She has also participated in many large teleseminars and live appearances. Dr. Kimberly speaks to groups and gives classes on topics of interest to her audiences, as well as our listening audience, because I know for a fact you, the members of the worldwide X-Zone Nation, just love Dr. Kimberly. 6 years ago, Dr. Kimberly introduced her life work on telesummits and radio. She shared her healing methods and the use of frequency that are now being replicated, or should I say attempted to be replicated, by many other healers. Her current program, Frequency Master, teaches you how to master frequencies in your own life and trains other healers to use her own unique and successful methods. Website, www.kimberlymcgeorge.com. And Dr. Kim, welcome back to the X-Zone. How are you, dear friend?
Oh, I am so wonderful. I just have to say to your listening audience, and I'm sure they already know, I was thinking, as I was thinking about coming on your show again, that you are one of, in my book, the top 10 light bringers and the truth bringers on the planet. And I just wanted to say thank you.
You've got me blushing, Kim. Oh my gosh, what a high compliment coming from you, my dear. Thank you so much. It means a lot to me. Kim, for our listeners who may not have heard you the last time, because since you were on with us last time, we have grown in such proportions that it's because of guests like you and the X-Zone Nation that we keep growing. So to you and our X-Zone Nation, thank you so much, guys. Tell us a little bit about yourself that I didn't cover in this very brief but yet in-depth bio.
Oh gosh, it's like you. I'm getting so old. There's so much to tell. But just briefly, you guys, if you don't know me, I was born with some intuitive abilities when I was very young and kind of traversed that through my teenage years. When I was in my 20s, I really started using my intuitive abilities. Some people might say practicing as a psychic. I don't really like that word, or as an intuitive. And I worked with occult crimes and got pulled into some really strange things really young. And kind of went in and out, got married, had kids, tried to do the normal thing, tried to kind of squelch my gifts. Long story short, lots of health problems, really dramatic, kind of dying type of health problems, and didn't like the medical route. Intuitively knew there was something else, told my doctors I'm done, went on the World Wide Web and started Googling, and the rest is history. It was really there that, everything was born. I ended up going to, many different types of education, and I really didn't ever intend for this to happen. It was kind of so natural. When I was practicing as an herbalist, I wasn't really even practicing as an herbalist. I was studying herbs for my own use, and so successful with my own health and helping my friends and my family and my children. And, people started calling from all over Ohio, and my ex-husband was like, oh my gosh, like, can we stop the madness? Like, I'm sick of, Sue's cousins, boyfriends, grandma's mom, calling and interrupting dinner. He's like, if you're going to do this, start a darn business. And so really the brand, got to thank him for something, my children and my business, that's pretty big. So, the brand was born, and the rest is kind of history. So, I guess my frustration and the real turning point in my business, to sum it all up, was to hand out, hundreds and hundreds of dollars of bags of supplements, and to have people come back to the clinic and, test them again or check them again. And they were better, but they weren't well. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there has to be something underneath this all that is more. And so it was the more, the question, the scientist. You're like that. You're all about the more. You know? And that's what drove me to discover frequency in homeopathic medicine, which was so far from where I started, because I used to think homeopathic medicine and frequency was witchcraft. So we've come a long way.
Well, all right, my little witchy friend. Just kidding, Kim. You and I have to take our first commercial break. We'll be back in 2 minutes. X-Zone Nation. Dr. Kimberly McGeorge is our special guest. www.kimberlymcgeorge.com is the website. We'll both be back in 2 minutes as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. And everyone, have a super weekend. We'll be back. Don't go away.
Gibbs A. Williams, Ph.D., is a practicing psychoanalyst, supervisor, researcher, and author in New York City. Much of his life has been dedicated to understanding nature and the uses of meaningful coincidences or synchronicities. His radical and original non-Jungian, non-mystical, non-magical theory of synchronicities illuminates much of the fog surrounding this challenging and perplexing topic. His ideas and manners are fresh, presented in a style that is both entertaining and highly informative. He is also an expert on crisis intervention, specially focused on violence reduction for the police and citizens, mastering anxiety, frustration, and stress without the use of medication, and effectively preventing and treating heroin addiction. Dr. Williams can be contacted at his email address at gwwilliamsny11@aol.com or visit his website at www.drgibbswilliams.com.
Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
That bumper's called, guess what, gang? You're right, a haunted guitar shop tuning up. I wonder where they get these ideas from. God, I've got a guitar. I should plug it in and do an MP3 of me tuning up my guitar. Oh, no, I don't want to give you all a headache. Dr. Kimberly McGeorge is our special guest. And Kimberly, the secret to everything. What is the secret to everything?
I love that question. To me, it's energy, but deeper than that, it's frequency. So frequency is the secret to absolutely everything on this planet. And the beautiful thing about frequency and energy, as you know, is energy does not lie. People lie, but energy doesn't lie.
I've never heard that before. People lie, energy doesn't lie. Wow. You're really deep.
I can be. I try.
Yeah. You succeed. You succeed. So, when we're talking about energy, could we just go back in time when Haight-Ashbury, MacArthur Park, and Greenwich Village, and these people called hippies were saying, "Good vibes, man. Like you've got good vibes." Is this a type of energy?
They had something.
Yeah.
They had something there, absolutely. And every one of us is a frequency generator, and every one of us is a frequency receiver. And you can, use the word energy instead of frequency if that, vibes with you better. But we're all these little radio cell phone towers walking around. And it's so funny because so many people are like, I don't believe you can read energy like you do long distance. I don't believe that you can affect change in someone's physical body long distance. And I say, oh, really? Do you have a cell phone? Do you have a, radio in your car where we listen to these beautiful, amazing programs like yours? Do you have satellite TV or cable TV or TV at all? You don't believe in energy transmissions? I mean, it's so funny that we're just not taught this.
Yeah. It seems like people want to live in a highly technological world, but they really don't know what's behind the technology.
Yeah, they just take it for granted. Especially our kids. They just turn it on and they're like, what? Energy? Frequency? What? No, it just is, you know?
I'll give you a better example than that. My wife, she'll say to me, Robbie, what are you going to work for? You're only on air 3 hours a day. And I said, well, sweetheart, we have a newspaper. We do TV shows. We do publishing. Oh, yeah, I keep forgetting that. I just listen to you on the radio 3 hours a day, and I figure that you should be home after that.
I love that. I love that. From my radio background, I love that. That's hilarious.
Isn't that?
That's great.
Like anybody in radio would understand the frustration that we feel when people say, well, you only work 3 hours a day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you something, Kim. As you are well aware, when you're in a radio studio, there are computers all over the place. There is electronic equipment all over the place. How does this affect people within the radio business if we're totally being bombarded by the electromagnetic fields generated by computers? And how does that interact with our own frequencies, and how does that put us out of whack?
Ooh, that's a great topic. Unexpected, but a great topic. And it comes up all the time in the scans that we do. It kind of falls under the toxic or environmental toxin category. And I think it's a high risk for lowering of the immune system, a high risk for disease to develop, mental, emotional, physical. And it's the EMFs. It's the computer. And, I am guilty, you guys, but I have a lot of stuff built into my home to help this.
Sure.
But I sleep next to my computers. I sleep next to my cell phones. I sleep next to my tablets. It's the same thing with, the radio equipment and anything that's a receiver. And the very, very, very worst is those, it kind of old fashioned now, but the wireless phones where you have like a base handset and then you have 3 or 4 or 5 or, depending on how big your house is or how crazy you are, all those phones, it's that signal. It's so funny because it's not necessarily the signal that's being received. It's actually the bouncing off of that causes the problems. And we end up caught in this little web of these electromagnetic frequencies. And what's so cool? I love that you're bringing that up because as powerful and negative as they can be, obviously I work in, the flip side of that, the positive use of frequency, but it is so affecting our health. They've done studies where on top of mountains where they have all those, and you guys drive, if you drive through hills or mountains or you're traveling and they have those, you'll look up on the hills and have you ever seen there's like 10 towers or 15 towers in a cluster, and they've proven that people that live around that area, they actually, almost every single person develops like a form of cancer, a form of leukemia, some big immune system disorder. So we know, and the studies are coming out and out and out. And I don't want to say a website if you don't want me to, but there's websites that you can go to, findantenna.com. and you can put in your address, and this is mind-blowing. I mean, try living in New York City or Chicago and put in your address, and you will just like fall off your chair or fall off your bed, because thousands and hundreds, and even if you're in the country, like I live kind of out there, but I still have like 15 around me, and these are big towers, and they're popping up all the time. As a matter of fact, I was driving back from the airport tonight, and I said, girls, you know, I'm kind of excitable, as you can tell.
I never knew that.
There's a tower that looks like a tree. Here's my question, Rob, and if you know the answer, please tell me, or if anybody out there, why the heck are they disguising these towers as trees? Mind-blowing.
Because people are cluing in to the danger that these towers are causing. Here, you know, like, people should have gotten the hint a long time ago, because I remember years ago driving into a gas station to fill up, and it says right on the pump, please shut off your cell phones while filling up. You know, hello.
That's what we don't realize. You just hit it. That's so profound, Rob. Frequencies, the invisible, has profound physical reactions and effects. We don't realize that.
You know, what about high tension wires, Kim?
Oh, yeah, same thing. My parents just bought property, and I'm like, they're like, oh, yeah, just follow the high tension wires. I'm like, what? And she said, don't even start. We are too old to care. Bring it on, you know? So, like, we know it's the same thing. It's everything. It's so much. It's the towers. It's the wires. It's our cell phones. It's our computer. You know, it's our own devices within the home. It's your neighbor's devices. It's crazy. Like, we live, I don't want to be negative. I hate being negative, but we super live in a toxic world. Like, it's you know. You know,
Kim, I don't want to sound disrespectful, but I'm going to have to correct you on something. You're not being negative. You're being honest.
Thank you. Yes. You're right.
Listen, I just got a message from one of our listeners in Port Dover, Ontario, on the shores of Lake Erie. Her name is Samantha. She's listening to us on the IPBN radio network right now. And she would like me to ask you, Dr. Kim, do wind turbines pose any threat, since I believe they might be emanating a frequency? Now, I don't know what that means.
You know, and I'm going to say right now, thank you so much for listening. That's awesome. How wonderful. You have good taste. Rob's wonderful, and his shows are wonderful.
Jeez, here I go again, blushing.
No, I adore you. I'm sorry. You guys, I just have to express adoration when it's deserved. But love what Rob does. Love it, love it. It's like my crack. It's my secret thing. When I get time, I listen. You guys should listen too whenever you can. But anyway, beside that, you know, I'm not an expert on wind turbines, so I'm going to take my best guess.
Okay.
Everything emits a frequency, like everything, like your couch and your dog and your anything, the sun and the trees. So, I mean, whether it emits a frequency, that's kind of a moot question to me. I think she's meaning, you know, negative. Does it affect negative?
Right.
No, I don't believe there's a negative frequency at all. I believe it's, you know, there's kind of a neutral range where it's not necessarily harmful. I think it's rather kind of in the neutral range, if that makes sense.
One more question before we get back to our discussion here. Dr. Kim, this is from Greg, listening to us in Freeport in the Bahamas on the IPBN radio network. He would like to know if an aura is actually a frequency that can be seen.
Oh my gosh. You are my new best friend. You just opened up like a 5-hour conversation. You have no idea what you asked. You know, it's so funny you asked that, because I've always been able to see auras. As a matter of fact, I tell the story. My mom said when I was 3 or 4, she said, what's your favorite color? And I'm like, I have no clue. So I looked up and I saw yellow in her aura, and I said yellow. And then, dang it, I was stuck with, you know, until I was an adult and could change my color, I was stuck with having yellow as my favorite color. So I've always seen auras, but the cool thing is, you guys, like, I just got into reading auras and using tech, and we created this tech, and I don't know if we're going to talk about it right now, but we created a tech where we absolutely take pictures, and it's so cool, and it's so accurate, and we've done so many experiments on it, and absolutely, you know, you are this frequency generator, and you have thousands and possibly millions of frequencies coming off of you. Some of that is expressed in your aura and color. And to those of us that can, you know, pick up those different layers, some people teach 7 layers of the auric field. I teach 12 layers of the auric field. And there's so much information. How much information? Wait for this, you guys. Everything. everything.
Wow.
When I say everything, I mean thoughts, emotions, diseases, feelings, just everything, like memories, like beliefs, like DNA stuff, like your ancestor stuff, like everything, your wishes, your hopes, your dreams. It's crazy. And guess what? All those things are frequencies. Thoughts are frequencies. Emotions are frequencies. All can be read in the auric field.
Is there a connection then, Dr. Kim, between the aura and the chakras?
Oh, yeah, you're so fabulous. So, of course, and, we teach again, or we commonly know that there's 7 main chakras, and
Right.
actually there's not. There's like hundreds.
Wow.
Those are the main chakras, but as you become more enlightened and more conscious, we might want to say more spiritually connected, more part of the one or the all, you actually open up 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and it's endless, how many chakras you can open up. But we have all these points of access. They're just points of access to the different body systems. They're points of access to your third eye, to your crown, to your solar plexus, to your root chakra. They're just points of access. We can also plug into those. We can see if they're aligned. We can see if they're blown open, overblown, taking in too much information, which we don't really get taught. We can see if they're shut off. A lot of people's heart chakras, mine was shut down for a long, long time, for many years. So you can get so much information. It's so interesting, even the heart chakra, how it relates to the physical heart. So all those are just energy points where we can get, just like you guys have heard of the meridians, it's the same thing. We can pull information through the meridians. And it's the doctrine of of the whole, where, you've heard of sclerology, you've heard of iridology, we can do that. I'm sure you've had people on here that do palm reading, and we can read, tons of things through that. So it's just the point of entry, or the doorway that we walk through. And I can get tons of information through the chakras, or through the auric field, or through the meridians, or through my own abilities. It's just what door, or through technology, that we want to walk through.
We've got to take a commercial break very shortly with the news, Dr. Kim. But as you were talking, I was thinking, well, wait a second. I think we all actually do read the auras, which are connected to the frequencies, because, a person is, they're yellow, they're a coward, they're blue, they're loyal, they're green with envy. And it goes on and on. You and I have to take our break at the bottom of the hour. Please stand by. Always great talking to you, Dr. Kim. Thanks so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us here on the X Zone tonight.
My pleasure.
www.KimberlyMcGeorge.com is her website, and Dr. Kim and I will be back on the other side of this news break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center right here in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
Children aren't the only ones afraid of the dark. Millions of soldiers return from war zones with PTSD, anger, frustration, fear, and loneliness, much of which surfaces during the darkness of the night. You have the chance to change the lives of these American heroes. Songs and Stories for Soldiers.us provides free MP3 players for these men and women. With a list of 3 million songs in 16 different styles, 100,000 audiobooks, and 30,000 old-time radio programs, every veteran can find something to soothe and comfort them at no cost. All our players contain an 8-hour audio program designed to help veterans fall asleep. With 1,500 plus vets now participating, it's our goal to deliver 10,000 audio players this year. Go to our website at songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us. Help us help a veteran make it through the night.
Are you considering calling a psychic to read your situation? Then consider David Champion, a psychic medium for more than 20 years with thousands of readings under his belt. David Champion will make you feel comfortable. He has proven to be honest and accurate. He's a straight shooter. There's no guesswork. What he sees is what you get. While he is a medium, most of the calls focus on relationships. Not only love, but work, school, neighbors, and more. Need help with finding a job and preparing for the interview? Are you dealing with people who are obstacles in your path? For more information, go to davidchampion.com, $1.50 per minute paid by credit card with a minimum of 30 minutes. For your reading with David Champion, call 1-877-702-8598. That's 1-877-702-8598. From the Canadian News Network, I'm Rob McConnell. In Munich, police are hunting for an unknown number of gunmen who opened fire in a crowded shopping mall and at a nearby McDonald's Friday, killing at least 8 people and wounding 10 others in a rampage they described as suspected terrorism. Authorities urged residents to remain inside and put the Bavarian capital on lockdown. At the moment, no culprit has been arrested, police said on social media, as Germany's elite GSG-9 anti-terror unit and federal police were called in to help in the manhunt. According to government sources, the search is taking place at a very high speed. Witnesses reported seeing 3 men with firearms near the Olympia Mall, one of Munich's largest. The German news agency DPA is reporting that bomb experts are checking the body of a man found about a kilometer away from the Munich shooting scene for possible explosives. A backpack was found on the body, which is now being examined. Police have said they're trying to determine whether or not the body is that of a shooter. The shooting that took place in the Bavarian capital Friday left 8 victims dead. Donald Trump actually followed the script in his big speech to the Republican National Convention yesterday. Less than 12 hours later, he was freeform again, Trump being Trump, resurrecting a conspiracy theory linking the father of his chief rival from the primaries to the John F. Kennedy assassination. Trump's plunge into a lengthy litigation of the past spats with Ted Cruz, even bringing up his retweeted and unflattering photo of Cruz's wife, Heidi, did nothing to satisfy Republican fears about their standard bearer after a national convention complicated by unforced errors. The episode raised questions, too, about how he might govern inside the White House, having so far led a scattered campaign marked by a short temper and a seemingly improvised approach to policymaking. From the Canadian News Network in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, I'm Rob McConnell.
This is News from the X-Zone. I'm Amanda Curran. Scientists in Japan have begun work on a prototype design that could form the basis of a future space elevator. A mini satellite called STARS-C will be delivered to the ISS, and once there, the orbiter will split into 2 10-centimeter cubes and spool out a thin 100-meter tether made of Kevlar between them. The engineers behind this revolutionary technology explain, the satellites move not just vertically, but horizontally as well when we expand their tethers. As data must be collected in detail to control the satellite in space with precision, we hope to do it properly this time. Though earlier such experiments had failed, they say at very least it will help scientists explore the way to clear space debris from around the edge of the atmosphere. Through a very successful Kickstarter campaign, Philip Lubin, an esteemed professor from the University of California, Santa Barbara, is now underway in developing a small, sail-equipped wavercraft propelled by laser beams to Alpha Centauri and other destinations to send a time capsule from the world to space. This ground-based laser system would beam the digitally encoded data into space, and as Lubin says, we sometimes use the phrase, we want to back up humanity, which is not a joke. We want to do this. Personally, I would like to send out a blueprint for life on Earth and how to construct us, how to make us. Donations are $10 or more for the opportunity for immortality. 2 independent astronomers have come to the same conclusion, that the mysterious Planet 9 knocked the other planets in the solar system 6 degrees off kilter in relation to the axis of the Sun. Early theories had suggested that the Sun's axis should be perpendicular to the original plane that the 8 planets orbit, and researchers at the time blamed the tilt on the gravitational influence by a passing rogue star. Both models are based on the idea that the shift happened early in the life of the solar system. With a drastically different orbital plane relative to the rest of the planets, the model shows that Planet 9 could have pulled Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune out of line as a group, with the little planets tagging along. I'm Amanda Curran, News from the
X-Zone. You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
Welcome back, everyone. Dr. Kimberly McGeorge is my guest this hour. Her website is www.kimberlymcgeorge.com. Kim, looking back in history, do you think that the Renaissance artists were giving us a hint, as well as some cave drawings that have been found where the person's head, I'm talking about the cave drawings now, the person's head seemed to have rays emanating out of them. And when we look at the paintings by the great masters of the early days, they also painted halos around the heads of religious figures. Do you think that they were tuning into the frequencies and seeing them and interpreting them in their own way?
Oh, absolutely. This is by no means a new thought or theory or, in my world, absolute fact. And because we have the technology that we do today, even with Carlilian, photography, it's just accepted now, and it's becoming more and more accepted. And then when we can, make apps and you get it on inexpensive systems in the hands of more people, so you don't have to go to a metaphysical fair and pay $100, $200, whatever, $50. I don't know what they charge, to have your pictures taken. What use is that to you? You go once a year, you go every couple of years. I'm all about power in the hands of the people, and
right.
I think this should be natural. And whether you have the ability or not, because we all have, like you said, Rob, somewhat of the ability. We talk about you walk in a house and you're like, this is amazing energy. I just want to stay here forever. Or this has horrific energy. I wonder what happened here. I'm out of here. Or people, same thing. So we can all read energy, but I think we should all be able to read energy. And I love this. It's so weird because I'll never forget when I was like in 8th grade watching Star Trek, and I know I'm telling my age, but and to see something that looked like our tablets that we have today, which I don't know, they probably existed, but we didn't have them back then, and they're standing beside a patient's bedside on the starship holding these tablets, and they're like, okay, boom, 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 boom. You're this, so I'm going to run this, and you're good, and they're up in 3 minutes. And of course, we're like, oh yeah, whatever. But Rob, that's what I do.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
No, it's not. It's not crazy.
It's crazy in the best way.
Exactly. And you know what? I know why once again, I hate to disagree with you, Kim, but you were saying, by watching Star Trek, you're giving your age away. But everyone knows that Star Trek is in reruns perpetually.
There you go. Okay, yeah. So I'm not.
Looking at Star Trek, like you were saying, there are so many things that we look at today's technology that people look back and see the flip phone, that the communicator that they were using. Oh, I love these gremlins. I was only kidding. And when we talk about this, many people believe that this is proof of aliens and extraterrestrials working with the government and being part of reverse technology.
Whoa, are we going to go there? So,
I'd rather stick on your side. I was just bringing up a point.
To be completely honest, I was just going to say, when you brought up all the paintings and things, even the technology I use, and this is conservative, it's been around since the 1800s. So, we have the Rife technology, this is a build off and a spin off and a much more expanded, version of that. But we've had Rife, we've had all these, we've known about frequency forever, and we've known about the body's reaction to energy forever. Even applied kinesiology and muscle testing is based in the use of muscle response to introduction of things into the human energy field, and the body's frequency responds to it. So we've known about all this stuff. It's just now we can do it much faster, much quicker, and we can put it in computer programs, and we can hire engineers all over the world, and we can kind of make this happen. And what's cool is it's affordable. Yeah. So maybe you guys don't have a doctorate and can't go out and get an MRI machine or an EKG machine, but you can download an app on your phone, or you can download a program on your computer.
Or they can go to www.kimberlymcgeorge.com.
There you go. Okay, yeah. Sure. You can do that.
Sure you can. Kim, have you seen a drastic change in frequencies lately with all the different terrorist activity that is going on? Look what happened in Munich today.
Yeah. So what we see, during this time is we see what's obviously the frequency of fear. So when we're looking at the emotional panels, every single emotion has a frequency, but they all boil down to two basic emotions, which isn't going to shock anyone. Love, which is 528, and fear, and I don't happen to know that random frequency, but it has a specific frequency as well. And so what we're seeing is when I scan the fields of people, and, again, this is with tech, not with my abilities, although I think we can all agree that we feel this. There is an increase in fear, although in some of the people that I work in, the groups I work with, they're very good at coming back to center. We can all kind of go off, and you're like this too. You're like the most incredibly grounded and centered person. I mean, look what you do. You have to be, or you'd be like stark raving mad. So
how do you know I'm not?
Well, only in the best way, like I said about me. But we have to be able to come back to center, and ultimately, when we contribute and feed into that fear, whoever they is, whatever you guys believe, whether you guys think it's the aliens or the government or conspiracy or not conspiracy, it doesn't matter. Whoever the they is for you, what's so important is we are not like they, the negative they. We need to be the light bearers like you are, Rob. We need to hold the frequency of 528. We need to, whether you want to beam the light, hold the light, whether you guys believe in spiritual warfare, whatever your beliefs are, we need to stand for the positive side of all that fear. And then again, and you talk to many people that throw out all these theories, how much of that is engineered and social engineering? And there's, a lot to consider there in that question.
Is it possible for people to shield themselves with a certain frequency so they're not affected by all the overlapping negativity?
Oh, my friend, I do it every day. I run my stuff. I work on my, we have programs that tell how we talk about, giving our power away or giving your energy away. And we set up these energy exchanges with people, and some are positive, like you and your wife, it's hopefully a positive energy exchange, or you and children or grandchildren or friends, and obviously there's this positive energy exchange. But what we're not taught about is how to, and I was just talking to my daughter about this today. We need to have better auric protection. And again, some people believe in paranormal energies and in demonic energies and in negative energies. And so all these energies of people and possibly other things can get through that natural auric protection if you're not aware of it, if you're not working on it. And the beautiful thing is when we scan and we pick up these negative things, Rob, it's super incredible. We've been playing in some different classes I'm doing with things as simple as musical notes. You play the piano, middle C, D, E, and the effect. You see, we can measure all this. We take a picture, we play, the note A or C, and then we take a picture again, and we can see the energy coming in the aura, leaving the aura, balancing, coming up brilliant colors, the frequency coming up, the chakras aligning. And so we can see how positive things affect, and we can clear the fear. You can even just play 528. As a matter of fact, you guys can do something at home right now and try it and experiment yourself. My daughter came home. She was in a really awful mood. And I said, you know what? Why is she so like this? I'm like, so I went and checked the water dispensers because I write 528 HZ hertz on my water dispensers. I write it on a little sticky note. I put it on the back of and I write other things too, but that's one of the main things. And I put that little sticky note. I'm like, oh, it wasn't on there. I stick it on there. Her mood changed. The rest of her visit home, she lives in another state, was a lot smoother. And you guys think I'm crazy. Think I'm crazy. No. Try it. Try it.
I don't think you're crazy.
Well, you don't, but probably everybody
else.
But
you know what I'm going to do, Kim? I'm going to download, or we're going to create a 528 hertz frequency using one of our programs, and we're going to backtrack it on the back of one of our shows, and we'll invite you back, and we'll see what the response is to the audience listening to the show and hearing very, very faintly the 528 hertz frequency.
You're a man after my own heart. I run experiments like that all day long, 24/7. It just lights me up. I love that stuff. That's awesome.
Okay, talking about music, music is an excellent example, Kim, of how frequencies affect us. Slow music, slow dancing. Everything comes to a nice, you feel good. Your heart rate goes down. Your respiration is increased. You're more focused on yourself. Increase the beat, increase the frequency. Rock and roll. What happens? Everything speeds up. Then you go into punk rock. Look what happens. So you're bringing a lot of common sense, everyday examples to the people. And if they don't get it, wake up. The hamster's dead. The wheel's still going.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. Absolutely. And it's so fun to play with all these frequencies, we play with, because if you guys think, okay, let's just pretend everything is frequency. Then you start to know, wow, I can know what food is good right now, which might not be, and we're so individual. Yeah. So, and we're so individual from day to day. And it's so cool to start to learn how good you can feel. And one of the most profound things that we've been studying and kind of playing with recently is how much of how you are is, like, you think is your personality. Like I always say, since I've been young, I have a hot temper. But as we delve and get clear and detox, and there's something called an angry liver and all sorts of things, or a toxic liver is another term for it. And as we clear our energy field, our frequency gets higher and higher, all of a sudden these things that you thought were an intrinsic part of your DNA or your personality, they're not there. And you're like, oh my gosh, like I don't have a hot temper, I had a toxic liver, or, and I can apply that to many other things. But that is so freeing to think that some of these things that haunt us, that we can actually, improve or let go of. And so we are seeing just profound things like addictions, cravings for alcohol, cravings for cigarettes, cravings for, unhealthy habits for foods, as you start to balance, all parts of the human energy field, mind, body, emotions, and on and on, you change, and you change effortlessly in the fact that frequency is a lot cheaper, believe it or not, than pills or than even alcohol or drugs or, whatever your addiction is, or expensive cars or shopping or, maxing out their credit cards.
Sure.
And so we have this amazing technology, and I get frustrated, I get excited when people like you invite me on, because nobody really understands that this is just profoundly life-altering if you can really get a hold of this. And my guess is, if you do bring it into your life, you're going to go to the doctor less, you're going to go to the psychiatrist less, you're going to go to the counselor less, and you're going to be so much more joyful and happy and expansive. And I know we're kind of talking on the negative end, but what if we can add things in? What if we can balance the energy of your business, in your home, in your land, in your friendships, in your relationships, without even people knowing? And, that gets into some really interesting discussions there.
But this is life. People, with every negative, there's always a positive. And it's part of life. We live in a binary existence, Kim. Binary being 0 and 1. The very essence of computer technology, binary, 0 and 1. But this is the world we live in. Take 0 and 1 and replace it with good, bad, positive, negative, up, down, in, out, right, left. So when there's a negative in your life, you can turn it around. And so many people, God bless each and every one of you who have something negative happen to you, and it just bums you down. Do me a favor, look at it as a lesson, not a failure, a lesson to success, a lesson to doing better. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I really love that. That's a great illustration, and we do bring that in frequencies. We actually, that's a huge discovery we made, that instead of focusing on the negative and saying, okay, we're just going to put in this frequency of a diseased liver or whatever it happens to be, or depression, we're actually going to put in the opposite and see what balances quicker. And so instead of kind of doing the homeopathic thing, where you neutralize it by putting the same frequency, and you guys can look that up if you don't know what I'm talking about, but we actually put the positive frequency, and we actually find that neutralizes and raises the negative frequency. Fancy that. Like you were saying, the positive lifts it faster than even the neutralization of the negative. So we're playing with all that kind of stuff too.
And if people want to, they're probably, I know there's some out there saying, what are you guys talking about? This is all out of my league. All right, let's make a simple demonstration for each and every one of you. Whether you go to a church, whether you go to a mosque, whether you go to a synagogue, what do you do to try and make a better world? You pray. You're sending out positive vibrations. Oh, what's a vibration? A frequency. Am I right, Kim?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I think I love you, Rob, that's
I love you
frequency. Too. And I'm not even going to say the opposite frequency. We all know what that would be. But I think, and you know what? That's a point I'd really love to make to your audience. The power of your thoughts and the power of your words, because our technology is so profound now that we can scan you and we can pick up your beliefs, your conscious beliefs, your subconscious beliefs, your programming, which is a whole nother interesting conversation that you aren't even aware of, that may have been deliberately put in. Maybe you may have just picked up, when we watch TV programming and things like that.
What about internet programming?
Yes, internet,
iPhone,
radio, all of it. Yes, absolutely. And when we don't even know, and I always say, and I'm sure other people have said this too on your show, but I always say the key to this world absolutely is frequency. But let's bring that up a level. It's symbols, it's numbers, it's colors, and once you tune into that, you become very aware of the frequencies, positive or negative, associated with that.
Subliminal marketing.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Kim, we've got to take a commercial break, hon. We'll be right back. Exonation, Dr. Kimberly McGeorge is our very special guest. Visit our website. It's informative. www.KimberlyMcGeorge.com. And if you'd like to contact Kim for a private one-on-one consultation, once again, go to our website, www.KimberlyMcGeorge.com. I'm Rob McConnell. This is The X Zone. Dr. Kim and I return as we wrap up this hour on the other side of this commercial set. Don't go away.
Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Gibbs A. Williams, Ph.D., is a practicing psychoanalyst, supervisor, researcher, and author in New York City. Much of his life has been dedicated to understanding nature and the uses of meaningful coincidences or synchronicities. His radical and original non-Jungian, non-mystical, non-magical theory of synchronicities illuminates much of the fog surrounding this challenging and perplexing topic. His ideas and manners are fresh, presented in a style that is both entertaining and highly informative. He is also an expert on crisis intervention, specially focused on violence reduction for the police and citizens, mastering anxiety, frustration, and stress without the use of medication, and effectively preventing and treating heroin addiction. Dr. Williams can be contacted at his email address at gwwilliamsny11@aol.com or visit his website at www.drgibbswilliams.com.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money and abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right. Transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone broadcast network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365. You're listening to the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
Welcome back, everyone. Dr. Kimberly McGeorge is our very special guest of this hour. www.KimberlyMcGeorge.com. First of all, Kim, thank you so much for joining us. It's always great talking to you, and thanks for sharing this valuable information that I'm sure there are many people in the world tonight who are tuning in to the fact that frequencies play a major part of their life because they were listening to you.
Oh, that's awesome. I hope so. Thank you so much for having me.
What are your final thoughts for the X Zone Nation? What is your message that you'd like to share?
You know, my message is really that whether you avail yourself of technology or not, just to be more aware of your own intuition and, you know, running energy, you can call it running energy or running frequency through your own being. You know, so many times we've had the thought, you know, I feel like I'm getting sick, and then you get sick, or I feel like I shouldn't do that business deal, or I feel like I should buy a lottery ticket. And that is reading frequency, because not only can everything be known within an individual person's energy field, like about you or me, if you have the knowledge or tools to use it or technology to do it, but everything can be known about everything. And that's a profound thought that I'd like to leave you with. So what if you could know the truth about anything? And I'm going to throw it out that you can.
That opens up untold possibilities.
And it feels good, doesn't it? I think it feels amazing if you consider that, you know? And so I kind of want to give you guys that hope. And it's not just me or Rob or someone with special abilities. It's each one of us really has that ability. And it's just kind of clearing the energy. And there's techniques and there's tools and there's technology. And whatever door you come through, it's possible. So even just listening to this show opens up a field of awareness within your being that connects you to that information highway. And it's just like a computer, you know, getting on the net. You don't need the computer. You can become the tech. You know, can literally connect directly without anything in between you. And I love that. I love that we are the most sophisticated computer energetic field. I mean, we are it, in my opinion, Rob. I think we're amazing, you know?
Kim, I've got about a minute left, and I just have a very interesting question from Chuck, who's listening to us on XZBN. He's in Charlotte, North Carolina. And Chuck would like to know how you came across the frequency 528 hertz.
Oh, gosh, I couldn't even tell you. It's been part of my tool bag for so long. It was probably a colleague that introduced me to all those frequencies. There's a number of frequencies. There's the Schumann resonance of the earth, and there's a number of frequencies that apply to relationship and connection, and the solfeggio frequencies, if you want to look that up. Wow. It's in that group. So, yeah, and he's a close neighbor of mine, by the way. So
in plain English, Chuck, go on the internet and do your homework.
There you go. It's a, you know, unfortunately, Rob doesn't let me take over the whole show. He just lets me have a part. So.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Kim. The next time you're on, 2 hours.
Oh, my gosh. You're so sweet. We can have so much fun, you know?
All right. Let's make a date for next month then.
That sounds amazing. Thank you so much.
Kim, we've got to say so long for tonight. I do want to thank you ever so much for joining us. Please give my very best to your family, and I look forward to our next session together, Doctor, when the doctor will be in here in the X Zone for 2 hours. Until then, my friend, be safe.
Good night.
Good night, Kim. X Zone Nation, Dr. Kim's website is www.KimMcGeorge.com. Now, I'll be back on the other side of this break with the news as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, when my guest is going to be Cody Alexander. We're going to be talking about shamanism and much more. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. Don't go away.
You're listening to the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.